Hey bloomers. All right, today we're going to talk homeschool. I owe you guys some homeschool videos, and I know there are not a ton of Catholic homeschoolers on YouTube, so I definitely want this to be a part of my channel and my message because you can do this. You can do this. We can do anything with God's grace, and I have been homeschooling for 9 years, and I have some thoughts on some wisdom, you could say, that I have to remind myself, but I wanted to share it with you today as you start your homeschool week. And let me know down below which number like really resonates with you, or if you have additional wisdom that you could share with all of us, because we are in this together. All right, so number one is any planning is worthwhile. Anything you pre-read, any moment you sit down to like think about what's upcoming in the next week, whether you pencil in or not, like any planning is like worthwhile. So some is better than none. At least for me, my perfectionism can make it to where it's like I need to plan perfectly, or I'm just going to procrastinate and not do anything. And so learning to just do a little bit and even like maybe have a reward for the end of planning. Not everybody loves planning. I'm sure most of you do, because for some reason I'm like one of the few who don't like planning, but any planning is worthwhile. Totally worth it. Number two, no two children are alike. So what works for Neil does not work for Chloe, and vice versa. And it's interesting because I have done different philosophies over the years. I've tried different things. And unfortunately, what happens is if it doesn't work for Chloe, in the past I've been like, oh, well, I'm not going to try it with Neil. And then if it does work for Chloe, then I kind of force feed it to Neil. And so I'm learning, Chloe's 14 and Neil's 10, and I'm learning that they're each individuals, and I can allow them to choose how to homeschool in some ways, give them some ownership over the how, and that can look different for each kid, and it's a beautiful thing. So, but learning to navigate that and to kind of cater to each child in ways that still allows you to have peace and joy is, it can be a dance. Number three, don't get rid of curriculum too fast. Okay, so you guys know I love minimalism. We've moved a lot of times. I've gotten rid of so much curriculum. I don't even sell it. I just donate it. I could really use some All About Spelling and my Catholic homeschool, Catholic schoolhouse back. Just because it's nice to have options. It's nice to be like, hey, you know, I want to fold this one aspect of Catholic schoolhouse back in. Like, I really like their history cards. I really love their history cards. I don't know why. Now I feel like I have to spend $150 or whatever to reorder these history cards because I love them so much. And like All About Spelling, I was like, oh, we're not really doing this because we're doing Charlotte Mason. But again, it would be nice to supplement sometimes. And so if Neil like isn't quite sure about a rule, and I could have just pulled one out. So my advice is, if you want to be a minimalist when it comes to homeschooling, just take a pause, box it up. There's been so many times I've gone back and grabbed things out of boxes. I am so thankful that I didn't get rid of our Story of Civilization for history, because Neil is doing it right now and he's like absolutely in love with it. And thankfully I was wise enough to keep that. But that's been kind of a whoopsie. So if you are new to homeschooling, or if you're not a huge minimalist, like I'm not a huge minimalist, but if you're not like, if you don't do knee-jerk reactions, or if you do knee-jerk reactions, just take a pause, put it in a bin, stick it in a closet, and just let it rest. Number four, try it out. You won't know what works or feels good until you try. So a lot of times I'll be like, ooh, like, you know, I'm trying to think I had an exact example for this, but I'll just like have all these like broken soundtracks about how something's not going to work, and then I won't even try it. And so sometimes, you know, we are, and then I think the next one is, no, down the list, I'm going to talk about how, you know, you're your own experiment, right? You're an experiment of one. Your homeschool is an experiment of one. And so don't be afraid to get in there and try different philosophies, try different, you know, aspects of that philosophy, give brush drawing a try. If everyone hates it, okay, maybe set it aside, try it again, don't try it again, but until you try something out, it won't work. And the other thing I've used this as is like with Neil and a checklist. I give both kids a weekly checklist, and I can't believe how Neil is thriving. He just knocks it out. And it takes a lot of that thought process off my plate once I made the decision once, and then I just make this checklist, and then they're responsible for doing the work. And so try out different things, not just philosophies, but try out different, ways of planning, try out different schedules, all the things. Choose faith over fear. There are so many days where we get all upset, or I'm just gonna talk about myself. I get all upset about how I'm not seeing progress, things seem like they're going backwards, and then all the negative broken soundtracks come into my head. I'm terrible at this, I'm a terrible homeschooler, my kids are better off if I send them to public school, which I immediately know is a lie, but really choosing faith, that we are in a long game. And I love what Sarah Mackenzie says. You can't teach to each kid's future because you don't know their future. Even if they say, I'm going to be a wife, I'm going to be a priest, I'm going to do this or that with my vocation or my occupation, we just don't know. And they just don't know. I mean, I pray that my children follow the path they're on, but we all know that God throws curveballs every day. And so really I love what she says about how we're in our homeschool the longest. And so to really just choose the faith over fear, and don't do things you hate because you think that your son's going to be a priest and he needs to know French. Step back a bit and make a homeschool that's delightful, and be okay with less is more. Sometimes, not all the time, because sometimes we need diligence and perseverance and all the things, but choose faith over fear. Number 6, document it. Take pictures. I heard this story, I think it was Sarah Mackenzie told, where she was flipping through a photo book at graduation, and at a graduation party for a child, and she's like, wow, you guys do so many crafts. And the mom's like, no. The trick is to take 100 photos each time you do a craft from a million different angles, or 100 different angles. And she's like, oh. And so the other day, I just took 3 photos. I'm like, wow, okay, if I took 3 photos every week of my home, or every month of my homeschool over the next, Chloe has 5 years left, 5 years, we would look like we really did some things, right? So the next time you go on a field trip, the next time you pull out the art pencils, the next time your son's narrating or performing a poetry recitation or whatever, take a snapshot or 2. Don't let the moment pass you by. Number 7, find a philosophy that works for your soul. So this kind of goes back to this idea that you're in the homeschool much longer than, sorry, my dog is out there just barking. You are in your homeschool the longest. And so, Rocket, stop. Come, no, touch, come. So you're in your homeschool the longest. And so, sorry. And so it's up to you. Choose something you find delightful. So for me, it's Charlotte Mason. I love the philosophy. I love the notebooking. I love it all. Whether my kids love it all, every moment of it and every aspect of it, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that it's something that I can look forward to and will enjoy every year. And I love the CMUC in particular because I love the camaraderie and the fellowship and the training and the PNU articles and all that. And that goes to number 8, which is find some friends. Find some friends. Don't just worry about your kids. They'll find friends. It'll be fine. But you need at least one other person that you can share in homeschooling with that is similar to you in philosophy, in ideally is another Catholic mom, somebody who you can really be okay, I'm doing this thing and I'm struggling, or this is this book I found and I love it. And when someone else is also walking this with you, and sometimes you have to go online to find these people, right? And that's okay. I have found my best homeschool friends through I don't know, like this this weaving of things where now the three of us are doing the CMEC, and it's such a joy to be able to, even if we're not in the same forms, like to be able to talk about the philosophy and to do the mother's education course together. And it's been so delightful. So find some friends, even if they get on Facebook or somewhere else. Okay, number 9, as I've said before, you are a homeschool experiment of one. So please stop comparing yourself to other Instagram moms. I'm just gonna say it. I have fallen into the trap. Don't compare yourself to me. You have no idea what my homeschool looks like on a day-to-day. I can share that with you in another video, but it does not look like an Instagram post. And those moms are sharing their highlights. They're sharing their like best moments. And you just have to really remember that. And so you are a homeschool experiment of one. And if you were in a void with God, just alone, I don't know why he's barking, you would do whatever it was that God was calling you to do. You would not, be worried about, well, this person's more crafty, or this person is more bookish, or this person does workbooks, but this person does narration journals. Like, you would just sit with God and say, okay, who are my kids? Are my kids neurotypical? Are my kids neurodivergent? Where are their strengths? Where are their weaknesses? What things light them up? What things drag them down? And you get to decide all that. Like, you get to work with all that because God gave you your kids. He gave you your temperament, and it just doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. And then that comes to number 10, which probably should have been number 1, but to keep God close. To keep God close, to really sit with him, to have time with him every day before you start homeschooling, to pray, to journal, to pour your heart out, to share your fears, to ask him to heal you from past wounds, whether it's wounds from homeschooling or wounds from your own childhood, or feelings of inadequacy, which, well, that's gonna be from your childhood probably, and just keep him close. Keep him close to your children. Make catechesis, make reading the Holy Scripture, make reading about the saints and the daily liturgy and the cycle of the church, like, make that the primary. And then build off of that into truth, beauty, and goodness. Because, and everything you teach and ultimately is truth, beauty, and goodness, right? History is true. It's not necessarily always beautiful, but I think that history is just beautiful. I didn't think so in school, but now I love watching, especially when you weave the church history in. Oh, I love watching history unfold. Okay, this is a longer video, but please let me know down below, what you thought, if you have other wisdom, again, like which number kind of stood out to you that you either needed to hear or that you're do really well with. Let's, we can be positive over here and just share all the wins, right? And then if you want to connect on a more personal, casual way, I do have a private Facebook now, so I'll link that down below. It's called Blooming Together in the Light. You just have to answer one question to join. That's just my gatekeeping. And because it is a private group, because I do want other women to share and to have good conversations. And with that, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a very blessed week. And remember to keep blooming in the light into the women you're meant to be. Bye, Pax Christi.